Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. Hello, hi Silk, hi Susan. Oh, we have CBD Miracle. Hi Melika. Hi Ghazia. Well, CBD Miracle, where are you from? I would love to know where you're from. Hi Parisa June, Rose, Flowerness. Hello everyone. Today we're gonna have another amazing live. Today's going to be with Shaman Makhosi. I'm sure you are all very excited to have her. We're going to talk about shamanism and all that good stuff. Okay. From California. Beautiful. Hello. Hi, Ferry. How was the live yesterday with Dylan, guys? Tell me, did you like it? What did you think about it? Hi CK, hello 45 Nazanin, hello Mehdi, hello. Yes, please tell me guys again, where are you from? From Budapest. Okay, Faiza is from Budapest. Wonderful. Hi Telma G, hi Parvaniju. I'm also going live, guys, from Facebook, Sudi _Burnett. You lost me? I don't think so, honey. I don't think that you lost me. I am here. I am findable, aren't I? We don't really lose anything, guys, do we? It's just in our ego mind and the lens that, oh, I lost something. You never lose anybody. Anyhow, let me say this again, guys. If you're seeing that I'm looking off camera, it's because I'm also going live on Facebook. So I'm trying to communicate with people on Facebook and also Instagram. All right. Yes. So tell me, where are you guys from? How old are you? This is a very important to know where you are. Sahar is from Cambria. Okay, cool. Hi, Soraya John. Hello. Hi, Ellie. Hello. Okay, we got two Ellie with different spelling. Global travel photo. Who is that? Who is global travel photo? Hi, Awakening 21, my lovely girl. Formidable every time. Okay, great. I am pleased to hear that. Yes, Giltin is from Iran. Tuktam is from Iran. Laudan from Beauty. I know she's from here, San Diego. I am fabulous, darling. Ellie 5775. She's from Germany. Cole. Beautiful. Kiana, where are you from? Pegimon 7912. Identify yourself. I need to know where you're from. Okay, Awaken 21, Iran, India. Beautiful. Mehnush, where are you from? Okay, for those of you who are joining me right now, you need to identify yourself. Tell me, where are you from and how old are you? Yes, please do so. Hi, Lada John. Love you from Irvine. I know you're from Irvine, yes, but it's good for everybody else to know. So for those of you who have no clue where Irvine is about an hour to hour and a half from Los Angeles. It's very nice there. Parisa is from Iran. She's 38. Okay, beautiful. Anahita, welcome. Where are you from, hon? Who's coming on Facebook? Hi, Sheila John. Sheila is from, oh yes, hi Lovey. Good to see you, Sheila. She's from Dubai, guys, 45, okay. Mahtab is from Iran. How old? Farzaneh, she's from Iran. She's 60 years old. Beautiful. Zareen Fion, 830. Identify yourself. We need to know. We are becoming a tribe, guys. Elena is from Irvine also. Beautiful. Hi, Elena. Look, guys, since Ladan is 57, wonderful, wonderful. Since we're becoming a tribe, we need to get closer. You know, we're a family. So the goal is that we kind of take off our masks. We don't care about anything that anybody thinks out there. We're going to be as true as we can to our authentic self. So I don't care how old I am. I don't care what I do. I am, hi flower timeless. Hello, beautiful. Mahtab is 49. Okay. So we're basically, guys, the plan is we are becoming a family. And do you really care, like, your aunt, how old is your aunt, or how old is your uncle? Yeah, right? No, we don't care. It's just that we want to get to know one another more. We want to share more. So my goal, as you guys know, going live on all these social media platforms, is for us to really start to take off our masks, to become authentic, be comfortable in our own skin, right? So that's basically our plan and our goals, to become a family and become a tribe, to help one another through this journey. Okay? So, yes. Anyhow, today we're gonna see what Makhosi would like to talk about. Okay, you can get a free medication. Oh, Sahar is announcing that you guys can get one of my free meditation if you signing up on my English YouTube channel, which is Sudi Burnett English. You guys can get a free CD. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, Atusa is 32 from LA. Hi, Atusa June. Hello, hello. Yes, so we're going to see what Makhosi wants to talk about, because we have, as you know, we're following up a routine. So we had a couple of days for fear, which my live with Dylan was about. And, you know, we're following up with the same content through our voices and all that, or stories and posts and all of that. Yes. Hi Ali Raza Jan, hello. And basically we realized that maybe one day it's not enough to really get it deep into a topic. So for that, we are spending 2 or 3 days on each topics. So I'm going to give the option to Makhosi to see if she likes to talk about fear, or our next topic that is coming up for the next 3 days is going to be about abandonment issue. Hello, Dr. Mary Horror. Hello, love. Okay, so it's going to be, what is the exact title for today? I was just saying, Lovey, I'm going to give the choice to our guest to see what topic she wants to talk about. All right. Ali Reza June, I apologize, honey. This is my English channel. Please don't write in Farsi and don't send a request, because You need to send your request in our Farsi Sudi Burnett Instagram. I'm very grateful and appreciating that you're coming here, but please let's keep this rule that here is the English and we don't send requests in Farsi. Thank you. Hi Hassan. Hi Jahal Jala Kariman. Where are you guys from? Hassan, where are you from? Underline Spirit 9999. Sarah, underline AH. Where are you guys from? Hello, Mahu. Hello, Liza. Hello, Muhammad. Rosan. Hi, everyone. Yay. Layli. Hey, Elena. Tell me where are you guys from and also how old you are. Yes. So Sunday we're having a webinar, guys. Okay. Our webinar is going to be about abandonment issue. That's I believe this is one of the major wounds that we really need to cover. And the majority of us have been experiencing the abandonment issue trauma. Now, it could be the layer would be different. Like for some of us, we have been really deeply wounded by this. And for some of us, could have been just a very tiny things as far as our parents weren't really listening to us or weren't available or whatever. And that also depends on the way we're looking at life. I had an astral meditation yesterday night. I have seen so many people. Is that cool that you did astral travel meditation and you have seen so many people? I just want to add here, it's good, guys, that before we do any of these things like astral travel or out-of-body experience, that we are doing it consciously, and also we are protecting our aura before we do this. Yes? Okay. So, hello, Van Chrome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Afruz. Okay. So, basically, you want to protect your aura before any time you do something, because even if we go in on YouTube and we're randomly listening to different meditations, we don't really know the energy that's behind it and how that is going to affect us, right? So I would recommend that we ask Angel Michael to protect our and put his blue halo all around us, and we send that request that I'm only allowing Angel Michael to hold my space and no other energy can enter my space. Yes. Okay. I didn't hear the rest of you guys. Where are you from? Can you please send me a text? What country or city are you joining us, and how old are you? Yes, teach us please more about it. Yeah, Ellie, you don't really want to go anywhere unprotected, especially when you're doing out-of-body experience, as I said. And so what you're doing before you want to get into listening, getting Sonas is from Toronto, very cool. Liana is from Iran, hi guys. Faris is from Budapest, 21. Faize, hello love. Yes. So before you guys are going, even like any time in a day, it doesn't matter. You guys want to relax and you just go on YouTube, put your headset on, and you want to do use a meditation or something. What you do beforehand, you come fully in your body, you're fully present and you conscious, and you say, Angel Michael, you call upon Angel Michael, and you see Angel Michael physically is coming to you, and you are asking Angel Michael, please hold my space and don't allow any other energy enter my space while I'm listening to this meditation or doing this out of body experience or astral travel. So you're commanding, you're asking Angel Michael, I will pray for you, dear. Laish, why do you say every day, my dear master, pray for me in your own mind? You guys are always receiving energy and you don't really need my prayer. But like I'm saying right now, you cannot go on YouTube and listen to a meditation and not to be affected by the energy of that meditation, right? So when you guys are coming here and joining my live, you are affected with the energy that is here. And you guys, as you guys know me, you know that I'm only coming from love and light. So there's nothing else here. As a matter of fact, I remember many years ago, I was working on a client. And when I was working on that client, another friend of mine, Ryan, who was a healer, he said, can I join this healing to bring the masculine and feminine energy? And my client said yes. And while we were working, I kept seeing, because when I do healing, my eyes are closed, they're shut down. And I kept seeing that one of my hand is on going around this client and my other hands keep going I opened my eyes and I noticed Ryan was there and he wasn't on his best place. So I heard this message, allow any other energy. Hello, my lovely sister.
Hello, love. How are you today?
I am great. We are waiting for you to come. We're very excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dive in and chat with you today. And I know we're going to create some magic for
Beautiful.
everyone watching.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, first of all, we want an introduction from you about you. Where is your name coming from and why have you used the royal shaman? Tell us a little bit about this.
Yes. So Makhosi is actually it's actually a title. So we have initiated names in the traditions that I come through. But Makhosi is a title. So I was initiated, I'm an initiated shaman through the Zulu lineage in South Africa. And Makhosi is a title that's conferred upon us after we graduate. And Makhosi means chief or king. But it also it comes to signify that this is a healer or a shaman. So that's where the royal shaman comes from. It's a translation of Makhosi.
Beautiful, beautiful. And why did you use that title for your Instagram, the royal shaman?
The royal shaman to me, and really what my brand and the movement that I'm here to create is, it has multiple layers. And so the royal shaman is not just who I am, but it really is tapping on a few different levels. Number one, that within all of us, there is a royalty, there is a sovereign being, and that all of us have the ability to transform and to access these non-physical realms and so on and so forth. It also is kind of a fun little play on our ancient traditions of having leaders who had a spiritual advisor, right? There was a priest, or there was a shaman, right? King Arthur had Merlin, right?
Yeah.
And that is also the role that I play to this next generation of leaders, is the spiritual advisor to this next evolution of leadership.
Beautiful. Great. I'm just checking on my mic. I'm also going live on Facebook. For those of you guys who like to join us on Facebook, we can do that. So, Makhosi, tell me, or tell us, how did you get interested into shamanism, and how did you find out that you're a shaman?
Yeah, it's not a beautiful, like, oh, I just had this huge moment of clarity and everything just was conferred upon me. It really has been a lifetime of unfolding, and I never, ever, ever would have envisioned myself or even wanted this
Yeah.
this role. I really found myself, I've been a high achiever pretty much my whole life. And so my original path or intention was that I would go to med school and I would become a doctor. That was my intention. However, I came to this earth. From a very young age, I remember the last time that I was here. So I used to creep my mom out, telling her all about the last time I was here when I was like 2. And I always had intuitive knowings. I would see spirit. I started reading tarot for people at like 12 years old. And I really just suppressed all of that in order to fit into what society said that was the pinnacle of success, or that I should be striving for. So along my path, really in college, my last few years, my husband and I ended up getting pregnant. So I struggled for over a year to get pregnant. And then when I did get pregnant, my pregnancy was so difficult. My body was really struggling to hold him, and I was on bed rest most of that pregnancy, and in and out of the doctor all of the time. And then I had an instance where I came face to face with death after he was born. I developed postpartum preeclampsia, and spirit saved my life. I had a situation where I was woken up at like 4 o'clock in the morning by a voice that said, "Get up, get dressed, go to the hospital." And I felt completely fine, but I did it anyway. And as soon as I got there, my blood pressure was in comatose levels, and I still felt fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole experience caused me to question many things, why I was here, why was I really becoming a doctor? Was it because of what I really wanted, or because that's what others wanted for me, and that's what they said that I should do in order to be successful? And then also after 2 years of really struggling to get pregnant, and I'm looking at this baby, and he may be my only one, I was like, I don't know if I can go to med school. This was my senior year. It was literally, I had 1 semester left after I had him. So I decided not to continue after I graduated. I did go ahead and complete my degrees, but I didn't go to med school. And I ended up just allowing and surrendering to being guided by a spirit more, because of that experience that I had after giving birth. And so I was guided through signs and synchronicities that ultimately led me to my first initiation. So the first initiation was 3 years. I spent initiating into the mysteries of ancient Egypt through a mystery school that's actually connected to the Dogon of West Africa. So I began traveling to Africa. I was also studying and actually in that initiation process.
Mm-hmm.
And through divination, it started coming out. You're here to be a priestess. You're here to be a prophetess. You're here to serve as this bridge and as this leader and da 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 da. But I kept thinking, like, okay, in like 30 years, I kept thinking that I would grow through some things, and that was like way down the line, because to me, I'm the mom of a toddler, and I'm focused on being a wife, and at the time I was in the top of a direct sales business. So I just began to follow the signs and the synchronicities and all of these readings and divinations that were giving me clues, showing me just where to put my foot next, what next step to take, rather than this is the destination and that's how I'm going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that culminated in me dreaming of my spiritual mother about a year before I met her. And of course, everything both of us confirmed. I entered initiation under her, and ultimately then ended up having to go to South Africa to complete. I did 7 initiations into the various spirits that I come with, and completed that process in 2018.
Very nice. It's so funny, as you were talking, I was thinking about the same thing too. I never really planned my life for someone who is so I was so for so many years in my masculine energy, having so many sheriff on and go 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 and do, and but I wasn't planning anything. And when I look back now, I said, how come I was just going by the flow, like do this and then I would do that, and then I would study something and then I would work on it, and then I experience it, and then I would lose interest, and then I would go into something else. And for years I thought, like, oh my God, why did I spend so much time studying all these different things that some of them I never used? Or I was like, oh my, each time when I think like real estate, I got my real estate, which was really, really hard. And I remember my exam was exactly on September 11th, with where nobody else. I was sitting like so focused doing this exam because everybody was failing 5 or 6 times. So when I came out, I was like, I saw everybody's video. I came out and I said, where is everybody? And she said, everybody was on television. So what I'm saying is basically it's like that part of us, like for me, when I was a kid, I remember in the morning when everybody left, I would go and wander in the yard for hours, and I was taking all this, picking up all these plants and flowers and leaves every single day. That was the game I was doing with my cats, to make a soup, and everybody has to eat this soup to be happy. Right? I wasn't thinking as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old of being healthy, but I would, in my imagination, was that when people eat this soup, they become very happy, right? So it's the pictures that we get that is like at those age, like 3 or 4, that comes, and then it's like deja vu. You're like, oh, I kind of know this, but where is this coming from? And then I just got a flashback as you were talking. I'm fully present with you, but all of a sudden I went to this boom. Many years ago, I think it was in the 80s, beginning of 80s, I fell in love with this French guy, and we had a long distance relationship. So finally I moved to France, and he would surprise me constantly going on different trips. And then on one trip we went to Egypt. And then we went, first of all, when I got there, everyone was thinking that I was Egyptians. And I kept saying, no, I'm not Egyptians. Oh, you look so Egyptians and that stuff. Okay. And then we went into one of these beautiful. You know, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever been to Egypt?
I haven't. It's on my list. I was intending to go
Mm.
after I graduated, and then of course, baby and then initiations, and I have not yet been. And I told my husband, I said 2021 or 2022, depending on how this pandemic
Yeah.
plays out. I have to go.
Yeah, so we went to one of these ashram. It's like so deep and it's so cold and damp. And I was walking with my boyfriend, and at the time, I'm in my early 20s. I always used to suffer from really, really low blood pressure. So I had this experience as a child that I used because I didn't know what going into trance was. So everybody else translated that as having a low blood pressure and fainting. But I wasn't
Mhm.
actually fainting, although I would just lose consciousness. I was going into a deep trance, but nobody knew that, right? So we went there, and suddenly I was like, woo, everything this, it's like this energy that goes like woof, and you can't handle it. And I went like, whoa, I hit, but I wasn't conscious of it. And I was seeing my life there, like everything that was happening. And I was a guy, and then leading so many centuries, and I was going through all this thing. And then all of a sudden I came to myself that I see my boyfriend, he is crying hysterically. And then it took so much time because you had to take maybe around 200 steps down to go down here by the time he was able to get access to come. And so anyhow, he was crying, and I was like, I came back. But it's like such an amazing thing. Like everywhere that we go, we see a part of us and a life. And then like 5 years ago, I went to Peru. I have no idea how that trip, like what came to me. In 2 days, I knew I'm traveling to Peru. And I went there, and when the airplane, that little scary airplane they have, they're so backed up with everything. And I saw that scenery. I was sitting by the window. It was like late afternoon, the sun and the nature, that beautiful mountain and green. And tears was just running down my eyes. And it was this feeling of connection that I know I've been there, like I'm coming home. It's fascinating. And then the story that I went into the jungle with a shaman. I don't speak Spanish. They don't speak anything. And how did we communicate the whole 7 days?
Right.
I'm like, where's the ayahuasca tree? Oh, and they're taking me. So it's like sign language and all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you're hitting on is so important. Looking back on it, of course, in that moment, I didn't realize really what was happening. But
Mhm.
I look back on my life, and I thought that I was flaky. Like I
Yeah.
had a similar experience to you.
Mm.
Before I landed on, oh, I'm going to go to med school, I changed my major like 3 or 4 times. I dabbled in like lots of different things. I used to do pageants, and I was a performer and an entertainer and so on and so forth for many, many years, vocal training and all of that. And now, whenever I kind of closed that chapter, because I used to sing, I'm classically trained and spent over a decade training, but I decided that that was not my path, that I really did not have a desire to be a singer. I still sing, but I did not want to be a
How
singer.
did you find that out, Makhosi?
Um, it started happening whenever I would get on stage to perform. And I always had, I still get nervous before I go on a stage. But I got to this place where after I would walk off the stage, I would be drained of energy,
Mhm.
right? I would not be energized by
Yeah.
what I was doing. I would actually have a decrease in my energy. And not just because, I was up there like giving it all I had. It was because I was not in alignment. And so that's like a key that I hope everyone watching can take away is really pay attention to what's happening with your energy when you're participating in certain things.
Good
And so,
point.
yes, I mean, I'm now able to look at that and be able to tweak things so quickly just because I'm paying attention to where is my energy flowing, right? So now I can look back on all of those years of vocal training and performing and dancing and all of the pageants, all of the interviews and all of that, which seemed very random. I'm not necessarily, especially where I grew up in southern West Virginia, it was not, there were not a lot of women of color in pageants. That was not really a thing there. But now I look back on it and I'm like, my soul was guiding me to that
Mm.
to prepare me for now when I'm doing interviews all day, multiple days a week, right? To have the vocal capacity to carry my voice, to be able to stand on stage and speak confidently and be able to hold my own, and also to be engaging and charismatic and entertaining enough to keep people's attention on some of these things which are very deep and philosophical and kind of hard to digest. My gift has really been to translate those very deep teachings into very practical, grounded, simple terms for the everyday person.
Hmm. Yeah, in one way, it's like we want to try so many things, and it's like somehow you think you're here on this planet for a short time, and you want to take as many classes as you can. You know, you're like running. I remember in my 20s, I used to sleep maybe 2 hours. I was like, how do you function in 2 hours of sleep, right? But here's the thing. As I'm listening to you, because I was an entertainer as a child too, right? And then later on, I had a near-death experience where after I came back, I lost my voice.
Mm.
I was so identified because everywhere that I went to a party, everybody was like, Sudi, you have to sing, please sing. And I so identified myself with that singer and acting. But when I had near death experience and I came back, the first thing I noticed that I lost my voice.
Mm.
Yet, for the first time, I wasn't scared of losing my voice, but I somehow was grateful because I was wearing eyeglasses, and somehow my eyeglasses was removed before I hit the window, right? I was so grateful that I can see. So that was something. But continuing, I gave up in singing and that stuff, but then again I got into acting. So I was doing this play in with 1,500 people on set, right?
Wow.
And yes, we did, and we toured everywhere. We toured like the whole cities in U.S., New York, here, there, Canada, um, Toronto, Vancouver. We did over 100 performances. Now, we were doing all this thing, and at the end of it, I start getting the message that this is not my path. I have to let this go, right? As I'm coming, as you, for me, my experience getting into healing and shamanism, it was something like out of nowhere, something, dropped in your lap, and you know what I mean when you're totally into something else, and this shows up. So I used to go to, I don't know if you heard of Conscious Life Expo. That's what
Hmm.
you have, right? So I used to go
Yeah.
to Conscious Life Expo, but at the beginning, my topic was holistic approach to weight loss for years,
Mm.
because I'm coming from a background of personal training, nutrition, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I switched. One day I'm there and this guy came to me and he said, what is your lecture about? This tall Russian guy in his mid-50s. And I said, here's my banner, holistic approach. Maybe you want to come tonight at 8 p.m. And then he goes, how about if you change that into healing? And then he comes very mysteriously next to my ear and he says, make it by donation, healing. And sometimes like you're like hypnotized. I wasn't even thinking. So I start grabbing the thing and my assistant wrote healing, right? And we put a sign. You would not believe it got to a point that people were lining up. In Conscious Life Expo, there are so many healers there. It's like one after another, one after. And suddenly my assistant said, it's 8 p.m. I ran upstairs to the room where I was supposed to do the lecture that I did 7 years, year after year. I could not speak. I kept thinking, like, I kept drinking water. And then I said, you know what, guys, let me just be very transparent with you. This is what just happened. This has been my experience. And let me talk about energy healing. And I switched. And then suddenly I can talk, right? But then at my very last performance, what happened, you know the stage, right? I've been on stage over 100 times. When they call your name at the end, you step in front, you bow as the audience are raising, giving you, and then 1, 2, 3 step, I come back. But this particular time, as I come back, somehow I hit the coffee table and I go like boom with hitting my head on the floor, that I heard the whole audience, 1,500 people went up like that, right? And I had bruise on my butt for 1 week. I couldn't sit on the toilet, like dark bruises all over my back for one just simple hit. And that's when I got it. It's done. I told my agent, and it's really funny. When your path is changing, how universe is just putting everything. So I called my agent and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. My agent, who was forcing me till the day before that, hurry up, you got to get new pictures and that stuff. All of a sudden he said to me, oh, I totally understand. So you have our number whenever you change. What? So I kept getting messages back and forth. You gotta let that go. You gotta let that go. And finally, you come to a point that you really realize, like, do I really have a free will? What do you think about that? Do we have free will, or is it everything like planned from before and we're just playing this? What's your uptake on this?
Yeah, I think that from our perspective, there's most certainly free will, always free will. I do think that there's so the traditions that I come from, and I've also examined, but I just see that there is kind of two sides. So there's the destiny that is essentially set in stone, right? For us as, the way that we're born. Right? It's where we come from. It's the family that we're going to be born into. It's the circumstances. It's the events that are transpiring when we're born, and so on and so forth. I do also see that there are certain events that either we agreed to before we came. Mm-hmm. I know that I for sure had that experience, which was very traumatic from my very first initiation, and that was the catalyst for me to be able to say, okay, this is my path. I accept it now. I will do whatever it takes. I don't care how much money it takes, how much time, energy. I don't care who I lose. It was so drastic, and I needed that in order to be able to do this, because I was the kind of person, like, I would have just waited until, another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I needed that. So I think that there are certain things that are kind of pivotal, that we are going to experience in our lives that are kind of set in stone. And then there's also free will as well, that we do always have choice. Sometimes it may be limited. They may be like limited choices, and we have to deal with the consequences. My perspective is that on the physical plane as the human being, but then because I understand that time doesn't actually exist and everything that ever was or will be exists all at the same time, this is just one perspective of it. Then if that is the case, then everything just is, right? Everything just is. There isn't really a this or that. It's all of it all at once.
Mm-hmm. Another thought that I like to share with you is that like it's kind of like when we're upgrading to become that healer or the shaman, we have to tame our ego. And it's kind of like the universe give you all these goodies, the fame, and then you're going on a big stage and 1,500 people are giving you a stand up and you're feeling all of this, and then all of a sudden universe said, okay, now we're going to take it away. And you're not going to believe, like after I did that play, the most famous directors were coming one after one and offering me a play. And then I had to turn everything down. And I was like, oh my God, he was my dream. I wanted to go on stage with him. And now he's coming to me with the script. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't act anymore. So it's kind of like the universe give you all that treasure and the taste and give you the tease you. And then also test you to see, are you going to be able to give it up? And it was one of the hardest things for me to keep saying no to everybody and thinking that I'm never going to go on stage anymore. I'm never going to play anymore, which is something that I loved from my childhood. So what's your uptake on that?
Yeah, I most certainly had a similar experience. I think it's that whole kind of destroying to like rebuild you, right, in a very different capacity. And it also gives you this perspective, this very humble perspective that all of us really, no matter how famous or, if we are homeless, no matter the role that we're playing in society, all of it is valuable. All of us have value, and it's our uniqueness, it's our unique authentic expression that is really the important thing, that we are expressing that, but not for what we're gonna get. I would say for sure also in my initiation process, the African traditions are very, very difficult and meant to also, on top of your life, also make sure that you have that. It's just so humbling. Like we walk on our knees. We sleep on the floor. I slept on the floor for like 4 years. You don't get to sit in a chair. Like you don't get to speak to people and so on and so forth. And all of that is a reminder or training you that even if you get to a place where you are highly revered and highly honored and people seek you out and you're in an elevated position, that ultimately, even in that elevated position, you are in service to others. It's about how can we use our authentic expression in service to others and to the greater grand scheme, which is a very hard thing for people from the West, because they're just so used to, and I'm from the West, so I can say this, we're very used to seeking things for what we can get, right? Even people come to the spiritual path for what they can get. that's initially like it's kind of alluring because it's like, oh, you're going to walk this path, you're going to experience abundance and freedom and joy and prosperity, and so it's very, you know, kind of seductive in that way. And then you find yourself in it, and it's like, oh, but by the way, in order to get that, you have to let go of all of that and start asking, how can I give? How can I be? Right? How can I serve in the world? And it's only when you surrender to that. It was only when I let go of, I was prepared to lose my husband, to lose my house, to, you know, lose my position, to lose the stage and so on. Everything I thought that I was, when I finally got to that point, that was when all of the doors opened up for me. And it's been beyond what I could have even imagined for myself.
Mm.
But that little shift has to take place in order for you to experience and receive all
Makhosi,
of it.
Makhosi, I'm sorry, honey. Something happened to your mic. Your voice changed.
Oh no. Can
There
you
it
hear me? Is it back?
is. It's kind of echoing now.
Oh,
Maybe
I
it's
don't let me try these headphones.
okay.
See if that helps.
Yeah, your voice sounds like outer space now. Unless you
I went in a
unless you're
trance.
channeling another out of space entity that we're not aware.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, good. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't want to go with a bad audio because I know so many people really want to hear everything you have to say.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. The sound is the most important thing on this. Even more important than the video.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
But yes, so I was as I was saying, really it's making that shift. It's almost like the universe is providing all of the experiences and the opportunities and the obstacles that create this portal for you to step into surrender.
Mhm.
To surrender, to stop allowing the ego or allowing the mind to lead you and to put you on a path to trying to just duplicate what other people say that you should be, or what your mind thinks looks good or sounds good, etc., because that's going to sabotage you from being fully expressed and finding that fulfillment, self-actualizing, and being of the greatest service here on the
Mhm.
planet, and getting the benefits that do come with that. But you have to let go of wanting the benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. And something else that I was thinking about is you familiar with Rumi, right? Rumi
Yes.
the poet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, which was my last seminar before the pandemic and all that, I went to Kenya because I believe it's 17th of December is the day that Rumi died, and then there's a huge celebration because um, we are saying that okay, he finally, that's the day that you have to celebrate, is the day of light, because he finally became and joined his beloved, that was God, right? So I don't know how much you know about Rumi, but he's Persian. I mean, there is a fight over him. Many Turkish people and Arabic people, they said and his poet is in Farsi. Like, hello, like, what are you fighting about? But anyhow, when I went there to do a seminar, and I walked in, it's really funny, like we know where we had a past life experience and where we haven't. Like I said, when I went to Peru, the experience that I have, or Egypt, it was like that overwhelming joy and enlightening and all this stuff. And when I went to Kenya, and they took me to he got this beautiful, like ashram thing. I felt nothing, zero, nulch. Like when we flew to that city, the city energy to me was so cold, and it was like, oh, you know. So, what do you think about that? Do we, like when we have this familiar surrounding, when we travel somewhere, or also when we have this urge to go and visit a place? Do you think these are all our past experiences that we had? That's something that is familiar to us, or what's your uptake on it?
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I've had some of those experiences, and then I've even been to places. So ancestry DNA tests are really popular right now, and I recently got results, and it was interesting to me because there were some places that I've been to that are connected to my ancestry that actually did not feel like home for me.
Yeah.
Like I went there expecting, right? Like this is my ancestral homeland, right? I'm gonna step foot and it's just gonna be amazing. And then you do, and you're like, well, I mean, it's nice, but no. I recently had an experience like that. Some really amazing synchronicities happened literally just in the past couple months. And I manifested this opportunity that was absolutely insane to be in Mexico and visit the Mayan pyramids for the December 21st solstice that literally just passed. I just got back from Mexico, actually. And being there in Mexico was another place that I had that feeling. I was like, okay, like there's something here that I'm deeply connected to. And I have on my ancestry less than 1% indigenous Mexican. Literally tiny, itty bitty, little tiny bit. But I could feel that. But then there's been other places that I have, especially in Africa, that I have ancestral origin from. The very, very interesting thing to me is that it's also not just limited to our ancestry, because there's also some identification as well to me with certain spirits that you come with. And so I come with many spirits and connected with many spirits in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, but also in the Hindu pantheon. And I have no Indian ancestry. None. Zero, zilch, none. Nada. However, I've had experiences with Indian divinities. So I think it's really important that we recognize the ancestral part, right? But also know that it's possible for you to also have spirits and connections and maybe past lives that are telling you something when you do go and visit, and maybe you see certain signs or you experience a certain ceremony or you just you get the knowing. It's just a knowing, and I'm totally with you. That's definitely a thing.
So guide us through your ceremony. How do you do your ceremonies?
Ooh, that's a really great question. So I'm actually in a place now where, because my role is not to be a traditional Zulu shaman or a Sangoma, my role is really here to bridge and lead us as a society into this next evolution. And so I do have a propensity to understand human psychology and where I meet people where they are. So whenever I'm facilitating ceremony, these days I almost only do group work because I'm really here for group stuff. Occasionally, like for my one-on-one clients, I will do divination, and that looks different depending on what I'm feeling called to for that person. I may do water scrying. That one's the easiest for me. We also throw the bones as well in South Africa, and I don't use that as much. But the one that's my go-to, which I was trained in and tested time and time again in my training was that I use nothing at all. I use nothing and I just see. And that's my favorite tool. But when I'm taking someone through ceremony, it depends on what's going on with that person. It depends on what's going on with that group of people and what's really necessary. So that could look like, usually it's the basics at like cleansing, grounding, protection work. And that's usually done from an ancestral place where we're calling on the ancestors of every person, maybe not by name if it's a big group. Also calling in the elements and any other supportive spirits that want to assist us in that work. And I'm usually utilizing water. So I come with a lot of water spirits. That's my primary. Most would associate them with like the mermaids or also the snakes. That's why you see snakes everywhere in my branding. But I'll utilize water, activate that through the ceremony. They drink it, and using that, we're opening blockages, or we're allowing in abundance or healing or prosperity, et cetera, whatever it is that that group really needs at that moment.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I had a lecture at the Conscious Life Expo a few years ago, and I was on a panel, and then everybody, you know, talking about different modalities of healing and that stuff. So when it got to me, I said, you know, I think even in spirituality, we are opening up so many directions, and we taking away the whole essence of oneness, which is the spirituality. And this person is doing what kind of healing? I heard that so many times over years, that what kind of modality of healing? And I was like, I don't have any modalities. It's just one source, one energy. And then it's like even an argument that Reiki is better than Theta, and that's more effective. And I said, I don't understand what's going on. Even in our spiritual world, it's like so many divisions we are creating, and where one is better than the other one is more effective than the other one. And it's all this creating all this confusion. But so when I started doing like my first when I got into this path, like I as like you, I was like resisting it for 2 months. And that resistance is because you know that this is such a huge responsibilities. And plus, you got to let go of all the goodies, you know, like the acting and singing and entertainment and all of this stuff. So for 2 months, I was like, no, thank you. But you know, all those events told me that, excuse me, you have no choice, and this is where you're going. So anyhow, I kind of give into it. But when I did my first seminar in Dubai, it was like, you know, you're taking a child who is that was my experience, like so armed and not having enough knowledge, and putting it right in front of like almost 150 people. You know, that's how I walked into that seminar, that what the heck am I going to do here? You know, why are all these people here? And the state that I, like when I walked into that seminar room, I saw there was like 100 guides all around the room. And the 4 days it went like so magically. And then it was funny because I have another shaman healer friend, and I asked him after, when I got back from that trip, I said, listen, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I was just being guided to work on this person and then go there. I had no clue what I was doing. What about you? And he's much older and much more experienced than I am. He said, it's the same thing for me. He called me Chief. Same thing for me, Chief. I said, when you go to different people, you don't know why you're going. It's like, no, something else, a higher power is doing the work and is leading you to go. And I was like, oh, that makes me feel so much better, because I thought I have no fucking clue. What am I doing? And then it was really funny because I was booked like every half an hour, back to back healings, like 12 sessions after a 9 hours of seminar, physically being with all these people. And imagine this is your first experience for a child who has no clue what the heck is doing. And then 9 hours of seminar, and then you're doing back to back. And every single person that I'm working with, they're like, oh, I have asthma major. Oh, it's really good, or back pain. And you're in awe. You're like, what is going on? But I tell you, 3 months after, my ego got so boosted. I was like, if this is my first seminar and I get like 150 people, the next one 3 months later in Turkey, same thing. I said the number is going to grow, and in a matter of no time, I'm going to be having 10,000 people on my seminar. Guess what happened? Right after my Turkey seminar, everything got shut down. I came back to LA. I was even into sending supplements. All of the supplements, one by one, was coming back. Nothing was working. Literally for 5 years, anything that I would touch, it wouldn't work. Even my TV show that was so popular, it went to a downhill. And finally I was like, okay, I'm moving to Lake Arrowhead. Are you familiar with Lake Arrowhead?
No.
It's by Mehmet. It's on the mountain.
Oh, okay.
10,000. Yeah, it's very high. People go there for skiing. But I went there and I went into total silence. Nothing. Just meditation, being in nature. So the universe kind of tamed my ego again. And it was like, it's not your way, but it's kind of our way. We tell you when you go. That's what I was telling you. It's like action.
Yeah.
The universe show you all these goodies, and you become so hyped up, and all of a sudden it takes it from you and say, let's see what you're gonna do now.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, because I also get that question around, you know, how much time am I going to get with you? What tools are you going to be using, and so on and so forth. And I've had so many experiences. Like I mentioned before, I started reading tarot at 12, and I was just intuitively great at it. I never studied tarot. Someone gifted them to me and I just started reading. And I'm like 12, charging money for, you know, tarot readings. And then all of a sudden my cards disappeared. And I had this repeat experience every time that I would like latch onto a tool or a modality. I would get deep into it, and then something would happen. Either I would no longer be able to access it, or the thing I was actually using would disappear, never to be found again, or, you know, just these really strange things. And eventually, I just let go of that and started and asked Spirit, okay, what is the message here that I'm not seeing, right? Like, what is my tool? And the message that I got was, you're the tool. Like, we're working through you. So much of what I do is literally just through being in someone's presence, and that it's coming, right? It's, it can be like certain messages that are coming through, or maybe I'm seeing something and then that's what that person needs at that moment. Or a lot of what I do is happening literally just in the non-physical realm. People will, you know, once I'm working with them, they'll be like, oh, you came in my dream time last night and you did da 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 da, and now I feel so different. And yeah, that's that's how it works. Once the relationship is initiated, it can operate like that. But there is a kind of catch to being that sort of healer, I see.
And what's that?
just the thing that I notice is people who are here to work with a particular tool or, particular modalities, a lot of that is dependent on their relationship with that tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Really utilizing it again and again, and like really creating mastery in that area. And sometimes, my ego is like, oh, I just want to be a master in, I want to be a master in, I don't know, Reiki or something, right? I want to be a master in throwing bones.
Mm-hmm.
But then to be this sort of healer, there's also a different level of mastery. And not that it's like exclusive to one or the other, but it is something that I notice. I do have to maintain a certain level of mastery of self, of care for myself, of cleansing and not allowing certain thoughts and not entertaining certain energy and so on and so forth in order to be a conduit, in order to be the empty vessel, in order to be able to, the way that I saw it during a plant medicine experience, I literally was feeling all of the, I was feeling this dark and dense energy that I was taking in from everyone around me in this healing space.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking it into my body and allowing it to be transformed and then leave my body and return in this lighter capacity, in this cleansed way. And of course, in that experience, it was very painful, but the message that came through was, you're doing this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Your body, it's almost like, as another healer put it, she said, you're really here to be like a human transformer, or a human, like a human filter to cleanse spaces and people that when you're connecting with them, it doesn't have to be, there doesn't have to be a spectacle. There doesn't have to be a show. There doesn't have to be even ceremony for it to be happening. And that totally just like blew my mind, because I was so fixated on how things look,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we are taught to focus so on the physical realm. We think that the authenticity is, it has to look like this. The person, to be a shaman, you have to look like this, right? You have to, you can't wear red lipstick and, pretty things. And you have to, real shamans live out in the middle of the woods and they're not on social media and yada, 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 right? All of these rules that we put on, but that keeps us from actually experiencing real healing. It really does. It serves as its own block, and that's our limited perspective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Yes, and I think we can't deny experience. Like at the beginning, when I started doing this work and I had a private session on healing, I would go lay down in bed and I would vision this person and I would get the light, have it run it through. And I was thinking that I have to guide this. Like I work with many people who had cancer. So I would think that I have to do this, go through that area and then send the light there. And I was sort of like involved, and I would spend the whole hour doing that. And as you said, as time goes by, you realize that everything is so much quicker, because in real time, we don't have a concept of, healing can happen in an instant, right? So the timing got less and less. And my friend, Renee, she was the one that actually got me into this. She was the first person that came as a healer to work on me. She used to use me to channel for her and tell her. And at the beginning, when she used to come, I would burn sage and then I would put some candle and put some meditation background. And like the universe show you little by little, you don't need any of this. And I remember one day as she came and she said, you have to channel last night. I was like, blah, 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 on eighth dimension, and you got to tell me. So I was like, okay, do you want to go to the beach, Renee? And she was like, okay. So she got in my car, and as soon as we hit the ocean, all of a sudden I heard, go to promenade. And I said to her, I said, do you want to go to promenade? Promenade is where all the, the tourists come here, and it's all boutiques and, restaurants and coffee shop. And she agreed. So we went and we got a cup of coffee. We're sitting outside. The music, it's so loud from the coffee shop. And here you have people like walking back and forth. And I went right into trance, and I'm telling her all this thing, and she's like this, hardly she can hear me. So, my point is, like, the universe constantly show me as time went by, you don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need this, you don't need that. And we become a tool-less healer, which is, you don't need, as you said, you're just being used as a vessel. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you have to know. Because I never really took any classes, or I never worked with any gurus or anybody to teach me. I just went with my inner guidance, and however I was guided, or through whatever energy that I was guided to do it. But what I'm seeing a lot is people are spending so much money on something that is done internally and through your own being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so interesting. I get like two camps of people. I get a lot of people who are so fascinated by how things look, that they just can't even believe that they could have results or experiences and so on and so forth without the big shebang, right? Without going all the way out in nature and, having to wear this and having to do all of those things. And so I would say that actually is probably the majority of people. And I understand why our ancestral healers who were doing this, why, even though I'm sure some of them knew, we actually don't need these tools. The tools, for the most part, for a lot of this kind of healer, right? A lot of that is actually for the other person. It's not for the healer. It's for the other person to tap into their subconscious to actually allow the healing to take place.
I see what you mean. So it's kind of like if you're paying $300, or for the shamans that come here, I heard anywhere from 300 going up. So as you're saying is like, you're paying 300, number one, because I'm taking you to the mountain. You're paying $50 for the drum, and you're paying $25 for the string, and you're paying $50. Is like, it's for them. Actually, you're right that the shaman doesn't, or the healer doesn't need anything, but it's for people. It's very hard to understand that. Can you heal me on a long distance? Can you, like, sometimes somebody has a session with me and they come to talk, and I said, I don't need any information from you. Don't you need me to tell you what's going on? I'm like, I know, if you want to talk, you can talk, but I don't need any information. So it's basically that it. You make this ceremony, and it's that look of the drum and the music and this and that actually gets you into something profound is happening here. It's the show, basically. Because I have a healer friend, and we're buddy, I mean, he's my soul brother. And when he does his events or seminars or stuff, he makes it really big. He got a guy who's playing the didgeridoo, and then the more people and the drums and this and that. And I call him Elvis.
I love that.
And because we're very close friends, he always tells me, he says, like, Chief, my work should be on Las Vegas. I said, exactly. Since you're Elvis, you got to showcase your work. You got to be like, yeah. It's all these things, makes it more interesting. It's more like, and he's hoping that he's going to get discovered. One of these days, somebody from Discovery Channel or somewhere, they're going to discover him. So the more noise you have, the better it is. On the contrary, when I work, there is nothing going on. It's just like silence, no drums, no music, nothing like that. So people are thinking, what am I paying for? There's no entertainment going on here. There's no tunes. What are we paying for?
Yeah, yeah. It's I would say for me, and this is a whole other conversation, but I will just pull it in a little bit. I definitely experienced some resistance around like my personality and my looks and my body shape, etc., and the attention that it was getting me and like how people were perceiving me and so on and so forth. And I came to this understanding through initiation that I chose that this is actually my tool, that like the form that I chose, like to be a woman by itself, that's a tool. To have a certain, I have a particular style or way of speaking. That is a tool. My way of smiling is also a tool, which can be very, what's the word that I'm looking for? It can like take people's guard down, right? Mm-hmm. Each of us has our own different medicine. And I think the challenge for, someone like you and I, we just have to really be clear about, you can still have an incredible experience. Things can be moved through without all of the spectacle and the show. And also sometimes just seeking spectacle and show is keeping you from having that sacred experience because you're just so focused on the physical aspect of it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. Like when I met Renee, the first thing I said to her, I said, "Oh my God, you have an amazing body." She was like so muscular, she was like her biceps and all the six pack. The first thing I saw was like, oh my God, you got such an amazing body, And then she told me, because at the beginning, like I said, I didn't know anything. And she was wealth of knowledge into healings and everything. She says, because you're going to work on so many people, your physical body has to be very strong. And I was like, at the beginning, I was like, wow, I was in awe because she had all this knowledge and information. And then after a while, it got to the point that we were both doing the healing, like a couple of people were at my house, and I would do a healing. I was in the kitchen making lunch and eating and that stuff. Renee wouldn't eat anything 3 hours before, 4 hours after her healing. I was like, so what is that physics for? Like, if you build up that, she was like, I don't understand it. She would come in and I'm like, what can I get you? I have like, no, I'm not going to eat because we're going to be doing the healing. So then after a while, I find out that even, like logically we're saying that having a strong physique is very important. But later on, I realized that's not even the case because what you're doing as an energy healing, you're just becoming a vessel and you're using that. It's not about your body. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you have a strong muscle, the vessels are working better and easier going to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. you know, the thing that I think is kind of the thing tying all of this together is that even for us as healers, you and I are talking about that we're being confronted with our own limits that we've put on ourselves, right? And so for some healers, they may only work in a certain way and follow certain requirements and this, you know, rigid structure and way of doing things because they have it so set in their mind, their beliefs are so solidified that this is the only way, right? Like my body has to be like this for me to be able to do this, or I have to fast in order to be able to do this, and so on and so forth. So there's for me, it's been about really breaking free from a lot of the limits that I put on myself, and then also allowing myself the freedom to also incorporate some things. So they're like fasting, for example. Sometimes I may fast. I might fast just because I intuitively feel like now is the time to fast, or maybe I'm working with some energy, or I'm doing something where I'm feeling called to fast for that. But I also don't at this point anymore put myself in a box of, oh, I cannot do it without this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next question. Do you believe we should be vegetarians or vegans, or does that even? I'm going to admit I'm a meat eater, and there's no way for me not eating meat. Let's put it on the table.
Oh no, I will say it's more often certain vegans who really get on me about this. I also eat meat. There's not a way for those of us who, like, in the lineage that I was initiated into, there's literally not a way to go through that and be a vegan. So much of what we're utilizing, animals are a part of that. And for my body type, I really need meat. I tried to do the vegetarian thing. I tried to do the vegan thing, and I got so sick and so weak, and I lost so much muscle and so on and so forth because my body really does need it. However, I will say, I do see that there are some people who being vegan or being vegetarian really does work for them. So again, I think it's also that kind of like that limitation thing again of, am I putting certain limits on myself or on the world and so on and so forth because of a limited perspective or a limited belief about how things should be or how things have to be, rather than honoring that you're different, I'm different. Each of us has, we come from ancestral lineages. We inherited DNA that is used to and connected to certain ways of being, certain things that you eat or don't eat, and so on and so forth. And allowing ourselves the ability to eat what is in alignment for where we are right now, and being open to, something could happen and I may say, you know what, I need to, it feels right for me to let go of meat for the next 30 days or, 6 months or so on. And I've done that multiple times because I did feel in my body wasn't digesting it well or whatever. So I just don't subscribe to extremism.
Yeah, so we have a question here from,
okay.
What's her name? Paras Tourette's. It says, no spiritual person eats someone with soul. And then haven't you heard that about, blah, blah. I'm going to answer this, and you're also, you can choose you want to answer to that or not. The way I see things, love, is it's a preference. Anytime you and I, right now, you're connecting being spiritual with vegetarian. That's another form. I believe in formless, meaning everyone is free to do whatever their desire. Now, I choose to eat meat because I don't put this and that together. And I believe that even all of us come here as a purpose. Do you know what the divine plan has been for the cows or the sheep or the chicken or this or that? We are all choosing beforehand to come and play a role. And you're so into getting in so into physical that you think, oh, I mean, I had near that experience and I talk about that. The minute the accident happened, boom, my soul is gone. Do you think that chicken or that cow is being desperate in pain? I know they're showing you those footages like how they are treating the animals. That is not right. We're not saying that. But what I'm saying, we need to know there is a purpose, divinely planned, why that animal is choosing to come as a cow and why is choosing that path. And I believe there is nothing out there. I don't know, Makhosi, this is my vision. You can come up with your thing. I believe that everything is happening in our consciousness. There's nothing out there. There's no place. And I always say, I said, anytime you remove someone else's mask, you see a part of you, a trait of your character behind that mask. So everything out there is your mind is making this. So if it's coming to my attention that cows are being tortured or they're being killed, what part of me is relating to that, and what does that suffering means to me? Then I would come back to myself and I see, where are my wounds that maybe they're hidden and I haven't connect, and it needs to be more worked on or more healing, or maybe I need to be more patient. So that's my thing. What do you say, Makhosi?
Yeah, it's interesting. I get a lot of people who um, come at this from a place of, oh, well, animals have a soul. Um, that is a very kind of narcissistic way of viewing reality, because the reason why we think animals have a soul and plants don't is from our own limited view of what consciousness is, right?
Yeah.
So even now, science is finally catching up with it, but our ancient ancestors knew that the plants also have a spirit.
Yeah.
They also have this aspect to them. But we think that they don't, because they don't breathe like us. They don't eat like us. They don't, make sounds like we do. This is also, when just kind of a little tidbit, it's interesting to me too when we go and we look at, do other planets have life? And we're defining life as it relates to us, as if we are the pinnacle of what life is, right? It's a very kind of, it's a narcissistic way of like looking at, this is not life unless it looks like me, right? Or this is not conscious unless it's like me, right? We're putting ourselves as the standard or the pinnacle. But whenever we look at what is harmony, right? What is harmony? Like you're saying, and I agree with you as well. Number one, we're all here to play a role, and everything is interconnected, right? And so none of us exists in a vacuum, right? In order for the cow to live, it has to eat the grass, and the grass also has a spirit. It has a spirit that can be accessed, that can communicate in different ways. It just doesn't speak. And also the grass is absorbing spirit from the sun. It's also taking in water, which also has a mechanism. It also has spirit to it as well. And so each of us has this role to play in this purpose. Even we see, and this is a really hard thing for a lot of people to accept, but there are some of us who are here to and end up transitioning. We die in certain ways for a purpose, as a catalyst, because in our non-physical form there is no death, right? That's just our limited perspective from this life, right? There really is not death. It's each of us moving through different forms, right? We were talking about past lives, and the energy that is in us has always been and will always be. So then we have to know that at one point in time, we were to the plant, we were to the mineral, we were to the molecule of cloud in the sky. And so this is why our ancient ancestors were so, they lived their life in reverence and in honor. So I don't agree with how we farm and we torture animals. I'm not okay with that. However, there are ways of honoring the sacrifice that this being, right, this animal or this plant or this water. People will see me and maybe I look crazy. I speak to my water before I take it in. I honor the water that's going in, who is now sacrificing itself to become me, right? When you operate from that place of, I am the sea, I am this land that I stand on, I am this water that I take in, I am the air that I'm breathing in. From that place, you're not going to be torturing the animals. From that place, you're not going to be polluting your water. From that place, you're not going to be dumping chemicals into landfills, right? And so that is where we need to return to this understanding of the interconnectedness and this, I'm over here looking at my beautiful money tree. I speak to my money tree. I talk to my plants. When I water them, I love on them. I love on the water that I drink because of that interplay, that this is an aspect of me that I'm just seeing outside of myself.
Yes. So here's the deal. To me, spirituality, I have written a book, Awakening Not Allowed, a few years ago. And that was, I was guided through writing the whole book. Awakening Not Allowed is all about rules of spirituality. In my book, I'm talking about spirituality being as total freedom as choice. Anytime we get so obsessed and overwhelmed about something and making someone else's wrong for their choices, we're coming from our ego mind. Because spirituality is about freedom. It's about everyone can have their own choice. And I'm not coming from a lens of a judgment. So if you guys are getting hyped up about me saying that I'm eating meat, then you need to acknowledge yourself. What lens of judging am I coming from? Look at your lens and understand that if something is triggering me because of aftermath of that judgment, then there is something again for me. Something is coming to my awareness that what is doing. I don't believe that eating meat or vegetables or this or that has any effect on my body because I'm coming from a different place of everything that will affect me. I'm not coming from there. But what I'm saying, guys, this is the time we're entering age of Aquarius. This is the time of total freedom. There is no death, there is no torturing, there is nothing. Everything is happening in our psyche, right? So if I'm getting really hyped up about something, like about COVID or about economy or about all this thing, what I do, I take responsibility and I say, okay, every time I tune out into the outer reality and I see things that are not to my liking, I became more aware of, number one, don't have any judgment towards it, and also bringing myself to my higher energy and vibration to get rid of that negative effect. So if all of us are becoming upset about economy, about COVID, about injustice, about killing animals and all this thing, what are we doing? We are actually raising up our negative energy, and we sending out that energy of judgment and anger to others, because who are we, or what allows us as human being to tell another human being what, how they should be or how they should behave or what they should choose? That's entirely up to individual to have the right to make their choice. And I can tell you what to do, or you can tell me what to do, or anyone else. What do you say, Miss Makhosi?
Um, someone in the comments also brought up, our ancient ways. And a lot of people, when we say our ancient ways, think that means like it has to stay in the past, or that we should just duplicate that in the present. I'm not for either one of those. Again, extremism is on any polarity being at either end is destructive. So it's finding the harmony within without going to either side, right? I'm talking about water.
Yes.
If I drink too much water, that's one extreme, I drown, right? If I don't drink enough water, I dehydrate, I die. Either way, I'm dying. So I need to be in the middle there. The harmony is in the middle. It's not on either extreme. So I want to take this to like a different place of what would happen in some cultures when there's an individual. Let's take it to like murder. Let's take it to like human murder, right? So often, and I want to take it there because I feel like talking about murder is even more of a trigger, right? It's even I think most people who are vegan, they would say that that's even worse, right? If we're talking about right or wrong. So in many of these cultures, the healers, our focus is on the root cause of issues, right? Root causes of issues. So if you had in a tribe a person who goes and murders another person, for example, here our ideas like, that's wrong, you don't do that, so now we're going to exile you.
Yes.
Right? Because how dare you kill someone, right? But our ancestors, you all can read about Ubuntu in South Africa, great example of this. Someone murders someone else, right? That person is pulled in even more because the people recognize that this is a reflection of us as a whole. We're the one who provided the soil, which is, the culture, the relationships, the atmosphere and environment that this person grew up in. And then this is the symptom. It's the symptom, right? So when I'm talking about the way that we approach meat and care of animals and so on and so forth, the ability to even be able to, quote unquote, torture an animal or put them in a factory and operate this way is coming from a root of feeling disconnected, right? If you feel deeply and in this knowing, in this way of being, that everything outside of you is you, you don't go doing all of those things. Mm-hmm. There are ways, you know, in our ceremonies, like there's a process of reverence and honoring and caring for the animal. Care, like the care that's given to the animal, or the care that's given to the beer that's made, or the care that's given to the mat that we sit on.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing it as ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? So when we just focus on bringing people back to that and understand, like, to be human is to take in, right? Because everything is becoming. If you eat an orange today, right, within a very short amount of time, that orange it no longer exists. Now it's your body, right? From a human perspective, we're
Yes.
taking in sun, we're taking in water, we're taking in food, and then it's becoming us. And then when we die, what happens? When we die, our body also becomes something else. It becomes the soil, or it becomes the tree. And then that goes into, you know, certain animals eating the leaves off the tree, and so on and so forth. And so this is a cycle.
Yeah.
It's a cycle, and everything is moving in and out, in and out. But like you, I do also invite anyone, when you're feeling triggered, mm-hmm. when you are feeling that trigger, it's not to just like deny our humanness and deny our human condition, deny suffering, and et cetera, but also to recognize the multidimensional levels. Because mm-hmm. there's the human, right? There's what we're seeing as the human. Then there are other dimensions of what is happening as well. Mm-hmm. There are other dimensions of what is this particular aspect of nature's role and purpose here, and what are we here to learn from that? Yeah. Right? Yeah. What data can I gain from exploring that within myself? Where am I in that? And where is that in me?
Mm-hmm. So our lovely person, whoever this is, what is Parasu is saying, you are not torturing the animal, but the animal is tortured, and you eat that, and that becomes a part of your flesh. I see what you're saying, honey. Now, let me tell you this. Just as over the years that I have worked also with many healers, they were telling me that when they do a couple of healing, they're exhausted. They could have even done one healing, and they blamed other people for what a bad energy they had and how dark they were and so much junk they had. Now their energy is all drained out. I don't work by that. I could do 10, 20, 30 healing, but because I don't get involved, I'm just a vessel, the light. So where these healers go wrong, they're taking the light into their body, they're transferring whatever impurity or whatever they have in their system, and they're transferring that to someone else, which is not the pure light now. And they get tired and exhausted for all this extra work that is not necessary, right? So when you're coming from a higher consciousness, you're taking the energy directly. You're doing this instead of bringing it in you and diluting it here and then transferring it. Same thing here. When you're saying that, okay, I'm eating the torture animal and that torture animal becomes a part of my body, not in my body, honey, because I am not connected to my body. I always say, I have a couple of lecture about who am I. And I'm saying I am not my thoughts. I am not my feeling, emotional body. I'm not even my physical body. I'm this ego who's watching this character outside this character. That's who I really am. And that's who I am. I am not my body. So that's the same thing when somebody, I work with many people with contagious diseases and I didn't get it. Although I touched them physically with cold, with flu, with COVID right now, I didn't get it. Why? Knock on wood. Let's be superstitious. No. Why? Because although you think that I exist in my physical body, but I'm not really from my physical body. I am from that part. Therefore, if my physical body is touching some contagious diseases, I'm not pulling it into my body. So I'm bringing this invitation to you guys to look at everything from a higher place, which is no judgment. And what we're saying, and we know there is no dying, death, and we constantly in our ego mind, we're dying and we are reborning, we're dying and we're reborning, we're dying. It's the same thing with that animal. You think the animal is going, has a karmic dies and is going back, and then the higher eighth dimension, they're like, oh, you had this karmic, that's why you suffered. Now let's clear out your karmic and send you this time as a superhuman. That's not how it works. Things are not connected as we think, as because we come with this complicated machine, our mind, that's constantly thinking, translating, and connecting everything together. Things are not connected as we think. What do you say, Makhosi?
Yeah, I think exactly what you're talking about is the importance of understanding things in that multi-dimensional way. There's, what we see and feel and think from our mind that's happening, on this 3D plane, and how we're perceiving suffering to exist and so on and so forth. But it really is perspective in the grand scheme, right? In that higher dimensional point of view, all of these things are happening so that the higher power, whether you say God, creator, source, whatever that term is that you're using, all of those things are happening so that it can gather information and understanding of all these different aspects of who it is. So bringing it down to like a 3D level of this life, this time period, these experiences, and so on and so forth. The important thing is that we look at what is it, because that piece is within all of us, right? Source, God, soul, we all have that ability to create. However, the things that we focus on more, the things that we put our energy towards, grow and expand. And so my invitation is that if there is a trigger that's popping up, it's an invitation to look at what part of me is in resistance to what is. What part of me is resisting what is, and now how can I let go of that resistance, and then what do I wish to see? What do I wish to create? What do I now expand into? So we get so much of, being on this this pendulum swinging back and forth. No, you have to be right or left. Oh, you have to be, meat eater, non-meat eater. You have to be, we just are so obsessed with staying on these polarities. But what we're looking for is really this, what's outside of the polarity, right? What is that higher consciousness, which is what you were saying. What is that higher perspective? What is that thing that I want to create and bring into the world or into my life, right? Trying to control and judge what other people do or don't do, eat or don't eat, behave this way or don't behave, etc., just perpetuates more of the problem because you're still focusing on that. We only have power over ourselves, right? And to then impede on others is to then try and take away their sovereignty. How can we access our sovereignty if we're trying to impede on others' sovereignty?
Exactly. So our lovely girl is saying, so if there is no pain and I see somebody on the street, I should just let it go because it's not real. I'm going to answer that. When I see someone who is homeless or someone who is suffering, that is activating something within me, because I am making this movie. This is my projection. So physically, on the physical realm, I would walk into that person, I would have sympathy, I would hear what they have to say, or I might even, if I have some food handed to them, or even give them money. But then I'm also aware that person is only in that situation because, one, I have created it, and this person is playing this role to bring out the compassion in me. Do I have love and compassion for other human beings, or I don't? Or my lens is only on me? So I would understand that on a physical realm, yes, I will do that. But then again, I am aware that that is also my creation. So how can I tune in to the part of me, to the part of my consciousness that is very prosperous, that is rich, that is powerful? And the best help we can give out to anyone or to the humanity collectively is to vibrate at our highest vibration. And then that's what we're giving out. That's my answer to you, lovely girl. Now I'm going to invite you sometimes to have some vegetable together. I have a lot of mints and stuff in my house too. Yeah. So, Makhosi, this was an amazing live, as we were both were thinking that's how it's going to take place. I don't get tired of chatting with you, but unfortunately, you got to go, and I know I'm so grateful for you to spend this time. And I think if you wish, whenever you have time, let us know. We do another live together.
Yeah.
And yes. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes. This was so much fun getting to dive into. I love that we talked about some really complex and deep topics.
Yeah.
And I absolutely foresee us doing some in the future together and diving into these things, because I never shy away from talking about these, very kind of polarizing topics.
Yes.
And also these things that ultimately, by just inviting us to have these conversations and to explore some of these things and get the different experiences. Through that, we get to see and experience even more of reality and therefore of ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Absolutely love you, Makhosi. Thank you, sister.
Thank
And
you, Sudi.
we'll see you soon.
You
Bye
too.
bye. Bye,
Bye.
love. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.